But you said 3, 2, 1 last time.
Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Nerdbuzzed.
Nerdbuzzed doesn't condone the consumption of alcohol by any persons under the age of 21. Please drink responsibly.
Welcome to Nerdbuzzed, the podcast where we talk about all the nerdy stuff that we care about and drink a cool frosty brew while we're doing it. I'm your host, Marcus Ellinger, and with me as always,
Jeremiah Johnson.
And back out of the intern camp, which we're really excited about.
Jack Hughes. I was going to scream, and then I realized that's not my name.
That's right. Scream the whole episode. That's what we want from Jack.
So in between, Jeremiah was like, yeah, you should just be louder all the time. You just stay at a constant, 700 decibels. Thanks.
Somebody turn that kid's mic up.
Pretty much.
So, before we get too far into the episode, which this episode is going to be about, basically, are we excited that we're going to get Star Wars every single year?
No.
Is that a good thing for Star Wars? And we'll dive into all that. But before we get too far into everything, we go over to Jay.
For the brew.
Please, introduce the brew. I'm excited about this one.
This one is, once again, your dad's brew. The Mark Ellinger Adventures in Drinking.
That's right. Mead. I
Yes.
raided his liquor cabinet.
Yes. It's the spiced pear, is that what you said?
It's just spiced mead. My dad thought it would be fun to make mead, and he likes... my dad tends to like very flavorful things. We'll go out to eat somewhere, or he'll make... I work with him, right? So at lunch, he'll make me lunch sometimes. Not often enough. But when he does, I'll eat it and be like, wow, that's loads of flavor in there, right? So that's kind of my dad's mentality towards everything. Is like, if a dash is good, then 20 dashes will do you, right?
Yeah.
So I'm a little nervous about this mead.
Okay.
Because it's a spiced mead, and I kind of think he just went to the spice drawer and said, I like all these spices, throw them in there, right?
Lots of cumin and paprika.
Yeah,
a little
right?
chili powder.
Yeah. And I don't know what the percentage is, again, because of the really accurate measurement process that took on.
Which means he didn't take the first measurement.
Yes, but I think it's a safe assumption to assume it's around 6, 7, or 8%. Something like that.
6, 7, or 8, 10.
Yeah, so we're going to call it 7. Isn't that what we did last time?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we just called it 7.
But I'm definitely getting some of the the apple pie spices.
Yeah, right? That kind of, to me, it smells like fall.
Yeah.
Right? Not quite Christmas, more Thanksgiving, but that time of year. Like those smells that, if you walk into the craft store, like you were saying, right? So
it smells like Michael's.
Right? But during that season.
No,
You
it
think
smells
just
like
all the
Michael's.
time?
Michael's always smells like that.
It smells like
Like
a
it's
Starbucks.
only Michael's.
Cinnamon pine cone.
You go into a what is it? A Hobby Lobby? It's not the same.
What is a Hobby Lobby?
I hate Hobby Lobby, by the way. It's the worst. It's the Walmart of craft stores.
It is, and it's not laid out well. There's no labels for the aisles or what's going on where.
Yeah.
And you ask her directions and where to go. It's somewhere over there,
Yeah.
and it turns out it's actually somewhere over there.
Yeah.
And the store is the size of Walmart.
How are they in business?
Right? Because chicks are nuts about crafting.
Yeah.
Which is great. We love it when you craft because we get to play more games. But I've been in Hobby Lobby and been up to the counter where it's like, hey, I just need this one thing. It was actually to get silk screens to make t-shirts. And I was like, that's all I need. Can you point me in the direction? She's like, yeah, it's over that direction.
Yeah,
So
see,
I go,
once again, somewhere over there.
Totally is what the response I got. So I went over there, perused the section. I came back. I was like, are you sure? She was like, yeah, it's over in that area. So I went out again and I came back and she did the same kind of just magic wand wave again. And I was like, I didn't see it. It's a big store. You have nothing marked. Will you please walk with me to where it is? Because I'm about to lose my ass. And I almost lost it. It takes a lot for me to just snap, but I almost lost it on this 16-year-old little teeny girl that worked at Hobby Lobby. It was all her fault. So it's a terrible store. But yes, it smells like Hobby Lobby. Or
No,
more
Michael's.
like Michael's, yes.
Yes.
Let's not discredit it and call it Hobby Lobby. But it's cinnamon, almost like a... Is it nutmeg? Nutmeg reminds me of that season.
Yeah, there's
also.
definitely nutmeg in there.
Maybe vanilla.
I don't know. I can't quite figure out what all's in there.
Again, I think it's like the junk drawer of spices that were thrown in there. I'm curious to try. What are you drinking, Jack?
Reed's original ginger brew. I believe there's also just like a newer ginger brew as well.
Well, they've got one that's the extreme ginger, it's like twice the ginger.
Oh, probably because I'm smelling this. It's a fair amount of ginger, but it's not. I if I want a ginger drink, I kind of prefer the cock and bull mentality where it's just like ginger. That's what you get. Ugh, you know. Getting the slightest smell of dog food. Did you fill this cup with dog food at some point?
No.
I don't know where it's coming
not Holly.
from.
It's not the one I used to fill Holly's dish.
It's there's just some about it. It smells like dog food.
Let me smell it now. Now I have to smell it.
Yeah, just think about it. It's there.
I don't think it smells like dog food, but
It
so definitely kind of
slight.
has that
Okay, I got it.
that
It's in, like, the
overpowering
back.
kind of aroma to it. Also, though.
Open your mind.
I think there's like a common, like spicy kind of theme going on today with the aromas.
It definitely has some spices, but I'm not getting dog food.
It's like you just gotta like concentrate.
I want to know what
on
kind
it.
of fancy dog food you buy your dog. Do you have a
Yeah,
dog?
I don't have a dog. I
Then
just
how
know
are
what
you coming up with any of it?
I know what dog food smells like. I'm saying it's like all this smell, and then like in the back, it's like there's some dog food in there.
I don't know. We'll see.
So you know they say that smell is the most strongest sense tied to memory.
Yeah.
So that must have been some weird memories you've had there.
Yeah. Oh, my ginger ale is filled with dog food.
It smells like home cooking.
It smells like
This
sadness.
smells
Oh, wait.
like
It's my whole
Thanksgiving time of year to me.
Yes.
This is what it smells like. Let's taste them. I'm dying to taste this. I really want to know if it's going to burn my mouth with
Smells
spices.
like I just drank more beer, now I have to pee.
All right.
To all the nerds.
Through all the fuzz.
Bottoms up. Let's get nerd buzzed.
Are you sure you didn't fill this with dog food?
No, it tastes like dog. How do you? Okay, I want to know how you know
Little
that.
bit. I've eaten dog food before. As a kid, you make strange decisions. Like and subscribe if you've eaten dog food. I guarantee we'll get like 10
It tastes like
subscribers.
holiday ginger snaps.
Very like holiday time. It's not nearly. So I kind of cheated. I'll just be upfront and honest. My dad gave me some of the spice mead, but it was like half dosed with just regular honey mead because he thought it was a little bit spicy and he had some left. And he's like, well, you know, dosey do it right here. And so when we were going to have this, I was afraid it was going to be super abrasive. It's not. No, I think it's for being a spiced mead. I think this is what you want.
Yeah, no, this is good. But
Good
it's
job, Mark.
the spice flavor, it tastes like a really strong ginger snap cookie.
I could see that. Yeah. Which isn't necessarily seasonal, but I do kind of associate it with that time of year.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not bad at all. I'm actually very pleasantly surprised by it. I have to congratulate my dad once again, my favorite thing to do. And
Clearly.
yeah, it does have that like waxy kind of honey flavor to it. And I forget what the actual honey he uses.
Well, if you want waxy
Is-
honey flavor, I got some of Eric's unfinished stuff
That
here.
looks like wax.
That bottle is just it's interesting.
This
I don't know, I kinda
bottle
like
is
this.
economics right
It's
here.
like when you're in Photoshop and you stretch something out. It's like they did that, but in real life with that.
I don't know. I kind of like this.
I do too.
It's really pretty good. I wish that we would have had our little hot pot here so they could have tried it warm.
I bet you those ginger flavors would come out way stronger.
We might have to do that.
Do you want me to like just
Just for
put
us.
it in a pot on the stove?
We just hold it.
Oh.
Just hold it the whole episode.
Just like breathe into it.
Oh, please don't.
But now the dog food breath that I have. I mean, it's good. It's good though.
Other than the dog food, it's good.
It just like it hits you at the beginning and then it's gone. But it's there. I don't know what I'm really confused right now on what
Unlike
is
Jack,
happening.
who hits you the whole time.
Yeah. Yes, I'm interested in
We're gonna keep drinking him though.
yeah.
Before we have our definitive decision,
Yes.
which I'm curious to actually see what will come out a little more as this warms up to room temperature. Because I bet you'll start to notice different flavors, right?
Yeah.
And mead especially more so even. So before we dive too much into our Star Wars topic, play Batman, because we're playing it,
Yes.
and we're going to review it next episode. Go to Patreon, $35, get some garb, right? Yes. And you can also go to nerdbuzz.com, where you can listen to any episode of Nerdbuzz, 100% free, as opposed to...
Any other percentage of free.
That's right, don't be scammed.
But he was looking at me. I'm like, do you want me to say something? Like
And
You can say it.
yeah, go for
I'm
it.
not going to interrupt you. That's your thing. To
This
say
is
the line, not to
one-
interrupt.
Relish that moment because it's the one moment.
It's my thing to interrupt. It's your thing to say the line. Oh, maybe it's just natural. Just interrupt.
Also follow us on Twitter at Nerdbuzzed and at Nerdbuzzed. Find us on Facebook, and
Still
we're
cracks me
still implementing the new Nerd of the Month.
Yeah.
So all you got to do is be a subscriber and comment on an episode. Doesn't even have to be a specific comment, but say
find you.
something, and we'll find you. Maybe it'll be the Nerd of the Month.
Yeah.
Good luck. So as we do that, we will keep drinking. We move into our big topic of the day, which is how much Star Wars do we really need?
Oh yeah. How much do we need? That's a good question.
I think that's kind of the real question that we're asking, right? Is how much cinematic Star Wars do we need?
Yeah, I think the Star Wars craze. I mean, Star Wars. Everyone's always been crazy about Star Wars, but I think after the prequels, people were like, it just became this thing to hate on the hate culture. Is like a total nerd thing where it's like something might be a little bad, but like when the nerds get to it and they had something good before, they will complain so hard online
Yes.
that they will turn it into something awful. I mean, okay, the prequels are awful, but they turned it into like. I guess.
I think nerds are. If you make something they like, they will praise you more than anybody will ever praise you ever.
Yeah.
But if you make something they don't like, they will tell you every little facet of that thing that they hated, and you will never hear the end of it.
Every single plot
right?
hole, everything on the prequels has been documented, and it's crazy. And I think with the resurgence of Marvel, right, with the Marvel movies being like, oh, these were the movies in the past, but now look we're making good ones, and we're making a bunch of them every year, and people are like, we want a bunch of Star Wars movies every year, so they're like, Disney's like,
Free money?
do it. Yeah,
Okay.
we own Star
totally.
Wars.
Again, just make the poster. We already bought the ticket.
We own
Yeah,
the
yeah.
oil. So yeah, Disney just is going. They're just going nuts now. They started with Force Awakens, which I thought was all right. I think it was a rehash of A New Hope, but I think they had to just to prove that, like, hey, we're going for a New Hope type.
Yeah, I think
thing.
out of everything that Star Wars has done, as far as like expanding that original trilogy, for me, A New Hope was the best one. Like if you compare the first three, episodes 1, 2, and 3, right? The next trilogy to come out, I think A New Hope by far surpasses those.
Oh, yes.
Right? It pays such a homage to that original trilogy that we all care about.
Are you
and
talking
clamor
about
for.
Force Awakens?
Yeah.
Force Awakens? Yes.
Okay,
Sorry,
okay.
I keep doing
I
that.
mean, they
I've
are
done
the
that- yes.
same movie.
Yeah,
they're
no,
not
no.
the same.
Force Awakens is it is the best movie so far that we've gotten outside of that original trilogy. For me
Yes.
personally, it is.
And interesting point, one of the co-writers for the screenplay was the co-writer and writer of Empire Strikes Back,
Which is my favorite.
and Jedi.
Oh, which I think.
Return of the Jedi. Not
Do you like Return of the Jedi and Empire better than A New Hope?
A New Hope.
Yeah, than Episode
4.
4.
I like Empire better, definitely. Jedi, yeah, I do like Jedi a little better.
Yeah, I think I do too. I love that one because it puts everything into continuity and like it makes everything that happens after that relevant. But it's not my favoriteest of them. And it does have some good moments. I love how they're all like, if you want Star Wars to be that like building the junk ship and like doing like that one has that mentality so much in it, right? Like I love that about it for sure.
Yeah.
Like it's got the trash compactors in it even, and like they're on the desert planet, and like just there's so much about it that is like ragtag, right? That I love. But
then it's got whiny Luke with, I just want to go to Tachi Station and get some power converters.
right? His worst line ever.
Not my family. Shut up. Get the lightsaber.
Have you seen it? You have seen that one, right?
Of course I have. course I saw.
Okay, well, you haven't seen a lot of these shows that we talk about. So.
Well, thank God. So I'm just gonna lay down. I think I'm just gonna lay down some Star Wars facts.
Do it. Lay it on us.
The next movie, is gonna be the Han Solo, and I've heard it's Han Solo and Jabba the Hutt, or just solo Han Solo. I'm not sure what it's gonna be. Then there's Episode 9. Then the Obi-Wan movie, the sort of Obi-Wan's the in between what happened to him.
I haven't heard about that.
Yeah.
I haven't heard that it was official.
Solo.
They've been
Obi-Wan
talking about
movie.
it, but they,
No, just an Obi-Wan movie.
yeah, I'm saying they've
That's
been
what I
talking.
know.
They've been
Solo.
talking about it, but haven't.
I thought you meant Han Solo. I'm like, no, what?
I wish that the Solo movie was called Solo.
Yeah.
Right?
And then Ryan
It'd be
Johnson.
Gravity, but with Han Solo instead of, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Ryan Johnson, who directed Episode 8, is getting his own trilogy. And I'll tell you how I feel about that in a sec. So, random
All good
fact,
things.
Disney is letting a lot of directors just kind of come and go in the films, firing a lot of them as well, instances of people that were fired. Colin Trevorrow of Episode 9 was replaced by Ron Howard. Phil Lord and Christopher Miller were fired from the Han Solo project. And Josh Trank was cut from from one of the future movies, which is allegedly a Boba Fett film. No one's confirmed, but all we know is that there's a guy working on it, and now he's not. And there isn't. I guess it's just opinion. I have this whole. I'm so confused right now. A lot of the canon right now is spread over so many different things, and originally, all of Star Wars just came from George Lucas's mind, and he made the movies. And then some people wrote some cool books that fit into the Star Wars universe and the theme and everything. And now, in Star Wars, you have the movies that are canon, the kids shows that are canon, the Lego games, and the Lego shows that are canon, some side books, and what else was there? Oh, and the Battlefront games. The new Battlefront game is canon to start. So there's all this weird, like, the canon is spread over so many different things that convey so many different tones that aren't cohesive really at all. They're all just like weird and different, and there's no way that they can make them all fit together.
Okay, so what you're saying is that the canon is screwed up and they've spread it out too far?
Yeah, they spread out way too far. That is a fact.
Except for the whole encompassing side stuff was originally considered canon. A lot of the books were, everything else was, and what they've done is they've chopped it off and they've brought it closer and tighter knit to what it is. They've actually brought it more cohesive than as far as it has been before.
Oh man, but like the Lego game, the Lego Star Wars Force Awakens game has canon plot points in it. Of like how C-3PO got his red arm and all that. Like that has
Where you can only learn that by playing the game.
yeah. But it's canon defining, but it's in a Lego game. So they're obviously not going to do it as like some, like really like crazy groundbreaking story. It's just going to be like a Lego game.
So,
right?
But don't you think that's what Star Wars was for a long time? Was so many little side projects that weren't canon, but because that original trilogy came out, and what was it after that? Like 10 years before we got anything else
Yeah.
that was officially Star Wars.
Wow, only 10 years?
But there were so many people. I think maybe it was even more than that.
no, because it was...
Was it about 10 years, 12 years, something like that?
The first one came out in the
can't
90s.
remember.
That's right. I thought it came out with that.
No, 99 was episode 1.
Was episode 1, and so the other ended
85, wasn't it? Or 84? 84. 84 was
15
Jedi.
years.
Yeah.
And which is a long time though.
Mm-hmm.
But anything else in there that was fan created, which I think is one of the elements that makes Star Wars unique and really cool, is that it was so fan driven to expand this world, right? I think a lot of these canon things, they did exist there originally, like they were intended to be there, but I think a lot of them are driven by the fans. Like they're created there for the fans outside of the movie medium, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of cool that Star Wars does that, but now they're having to acknowledge all that stuff. And I do think the ones that like in the Lego game,
Or like Rebels, that's canon. Even though it's just like, it's not the same. It's just not, like, they can't do as much as they can do in the movies, right? They have to tone it way down. but still everything's so. It just feels like the universe is so like inconsistent.
Is Rebels?
In its attempt
Yeah,
to make
Rebels
it
is
is,
canon.
is Rebels considered canon?
Yeah,
Okay, because I know Clone Wars is,
yeah,
and not the Tartakovsky one,
but
Yeah.
I mean, for the most
which I
part,
wish it was.
Clone
Yeah.
Wars
that
was.
that one is the sensory overload though.
Yes.
Like that's all that is, right? Yeah.
I feel like for the most part, Clone Wars, it was a kid show, and it's kind of like weird that it's canon, but there were definitely like good moments. But from what I've heard of like Rebels, and even I think they're even doing a newer one. It's all like kid fun, happy, but it's like okay, but how does that tie in to all this other stuff? Like it just doesn't make sense how all this is canon now. Or like the Star Wars, the new game, it's just like the plot's so bad, and it just doesn't. It's just not. Like this one character somehow interacts with like literally everyone, and now that's part of this giant like a good story, right? And it's just all these little bits like scabs, right? Scabs on this otherwise beautiful
If you're
thing.
trying to say Battlefront's telling a story, we know that's not true.
Yeah, we know that's not true.
I mean, but
it's a pathetic attempt.
the
at a
story,
for
the
sure.
story it's telling is awful, right? You're playing as someone who starts off as as like an Empire elite, right? Who's killed thousands of rebels, and then for some reason, dumb reason, you defect, and then instantly everyone's in love with you. Like you're like best friends with Leia. It's like how does you have murdered so many of her friends, and now she's like, you're my best, you're my only hope. It's like what? It doesn't make any sense. I don't know. I just don't like.
And
how
you know
it's-
what? I won't know because I'm never going to play the game.
Yeah, I
'Cause
only
I
know
don't
that
care.
from the looking
I got
up.
bit from the last one, and no, screw Battlefront.
But I'm having a lot of. I feel like Star Wars is just going crazy right now, like all this weird canon stuff. A movie every year, which I
Okay, now see the movie every year thing. I'm actually okay with because we're not getting a main trilogy as far or a main story movie.
yeah
We're getting like what they've been doing is with the
yeah Rogue One.
Rogue One and stuff. That's what we're getting. We're getting the filler stuff. This expanding upon something that's already known.
Yeah, but even then, I feel like maybe Episode 8, if it had more time to cook in the oven, if it had more like it just everything feels like it's just doing its own thing. Like the J.J. Abrams film, 8 is supposed to be the sequel to that, but 8 does not feel like the sequel to that at all. 8's just something else, and I feel like that's what 9's going to be, right? Like there's no cohesive arc. It's just a bunch of weird, like it's like one of those graphs that does. Or it's like an earthquake graph, you know.
It's just bouncing all over the
This
place.
is what it's doing with the trilogy, but the trilogy, or yeah, it's doing this with the trilogy. Trilogy should be like arc. I don't know.
I don't know. I can't explain it, but all I know is I watched it a second time, and I actually liked it a lot better watching it the second time.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not that I didn't see stuff that I didn't notice before, because I started like when I watched it this time, I was like, I'm gonna sit down, I'm gonna look for stuff that I missed, and I didn't miss much from at least that I saw. It didn't jump out at me anyway.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, because when I saw it the first time, I was just so sensorily overloaded. Like, just I don't know what just happened. I watched it and like going, this is not what I expected. This is not at all what I expected. This is not how it was going. This is not what happened to the Skywalkers. The Skywalkers are done.
Yeah.
You know, and it was like,
Bye-bye.
okay, I don't know what's going on. I don't know how I feel about this. I didn't know if I liked it or if I didn't like it the first time I saw it. You know, and I watched it with my friend Josh. He was just like, that's the most amazing movie ever. This is awesome. I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, but I mean, he was like so into it. I just like, I can't disagree with him right now because, you know.
Rain on his parade.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I don't want to
Burst
see him
his
cry.
bubble.
But,
Yeah.
but like I said, I watched it the second time, and I don't think it's the most amazing movie ever. But I liked it. I genuinely liked it.
Yeah.
I thought it had
You know?
so many plot holes and so many just weird problems.
Yeah, but they've been plagued with plot holes throughout the whole
Yeah.
expanse of the friggin'.
I don't think you're ever. I don't know that it will ever happen again. That you will have a movie arc like that original Star Wars trilogy, that will ever come out ever again. That will have fans already decided what should happen. right? Like there's no other arc like that. Like the fans for Star Wars are the most diehard fans in the world, to the point where, again, there was several years between that original trilogy and anything else we got, but there was so much stuff in between that was all fan driven and fan created. It was for this cult crazy Star Wars following, right? And they just clamor for it. And I don't know that you'll ever have anything that's that strong again. Like even with all the superhero stuff we talked about, there, even that following is not the same, right? Like the following for that original Star Wars is insane, and those people already go into all of it with their world that they've created. Like they created so much of it that they've already established as canon, right? To them, that's all canon, and it's what they've decided is what went on. And now you're trying to accomplish all that expectation in these other movies that are coming out.
If you've read any of the books, the Thrawn books that followed, it was just 3 books that and I'm trying to think of the author's name since I've been sitting here, but I can't think of it right now. But anyway, the Thrawn series was amazing story, and they filled in what was supposed to be canon following that. I think I don't know if it was Lucas, but it was Lucasfilm anyway that commissioned this essentially. Yeah, this extension of the story for him to write it for him. And
so it's like sanctioned by them that yes, go for it.
That was, and that's what established the Han and Leia marriage and the kids and they had twins.
Yeah.
In his story, and then Luke establishes the Jedi temple and retrains Jedis and stuff. Yes, that's him.
Timothy Zahn.
Yeah.
I like the name. It seems very appropriate.
Yeah. Zahn.
Yes. Yeah. But yeah, so I mean he wrote it, and then somebody else wrote another trilogy from what took what his was and wrote it from it, and they did change it up drastically, but they continued from it. In fact, they're that one they really brought the Millennium Falcon stuff into it, and it's pretty kind of cool. I can't remember all that stuff. It's been so long since I've read them, but
yeah.
But that was stuff that was built into this, and that's what when Disney brought this in, bought the franchise and started expanding on this. Everybody expected that that's what it was going to be, and they're like, no, that's not canon anymore. We're going to start with our own story. So I don't know if it was they just couldn't create it, or they just didn't want to have a big blue guy on the screen as one of the main characters.
Or even do they want to do something that's already predetermined, right? Like where's the if you are going, like where's the surprise in it in this new trilogy if they're just doing it totally based off the books?
Okay, but so where's the surprise in that? Look what the success in the MCU, and to a lesser extent DC.
Yeah, well. And to be fair, they have they've done their own spins on it, right? And I would also say
they have. And now, to be fair though, with the MCU side of it, because MCU was the MCU or Marvel was so broken up between the different cinematic universes or different, I wouldn't say cinematic universes, but the different houses, the different, the Sony
production companies.
Yeah. So they didn't have licenses and everything, so they had to change it up just because they didn't have the characters to work with.
Yeah, which I think actually is a benefit to them. I think that has helped make them better, actually.
Yeah.
I think if you're talking movies specifically with Star Wars, right? Like there's all this other stuff that's gone on with them. I mean, like I said, I think so much of it is fan driven, which is a huge credit to what Star Wars means personally to people, right? It's one of the biggest. I don't know if there's another franchise thing like that out there that means so much to people like Star Wars does. Those that it means something to, it means more than so many other things.
Yes.
Right?
Because everyone knows about it. Everyone's like, oh, lightsabers.
Yeah, well, and when it came out, it was groundbreaking. It did something that nobody had ever seen before on multiple levels. I watched this Netflix series that was all about toys. I
saw that. Yeah.
Did you see the one about Star Wars?
I saw that it was on Netflix.
Well, Star Wars was the first movie to really have toys. Everything else was based on TV stuff because you got it all the time. And the only one to really do it as far as a movie, the first one anyway, was Star Wars.
And they
to come out with toys like that. And that blew up, and then suddenly other people jumped on the bandwagon. There's so many firsts with Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
But I think because its original inspiration was movie form, I think that there is a necessity for that to be taken seriously, and not to just be shoveling out movie after movie in like pandering to the audience totally, because that is the root of Star Wars.
Yes, and I don't. Were you in the restroom when I brought up the fact that the main story, the progression movies, the ones that are progressing the main story and progressing where we're going from here and determining what the future is going to be, are the ones that are every other year, because we're getting the filler one.
Yes. Yeah.
Between, so we're getting an established character or an established backstory. That's,
Do you think that defines them as fluff?
I think they're fluff, but if they do it as well as they did with Rogue One,
Yeah.
I am all for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am totally all for it if that's what they're going to do with it.
I think when we came away from watching the newest Star Wars movie, the more I've thought about it, I even listened to our show to just to hear my initial impressions based on how I feel now. And I've talked to tons of people about it. My biggest issue is that if they're going to abandon the Skywalker stuff, abandon it. Don't drag that stuff through the mud while you're doing this other thing. Don't make that. Yeah. Don't just bait this Star Wars hook with this classic original trilogy stuff. So we bite and then we go see the movie, and that's not.
I really think that's what Rian Johnson just did.
Is what, bait the hook with that stuff?
No, is he reset the universe? He said, yeah. He said this.
No, I agree.
He's done. We're moving on. We're getting. We're starting a new series.
Yeah, but it felt like he even reset the universe that J.J. Abrams started. Like, everything with Snoke, all the cool plot lines that could have happened with Rey and everything. It just feels like he reset everything and just changed it all in this weird way that felt impactful, but at the same time, the movie didn't go anywhere, right? I didn't feel like, oh, the galaxy has changed now. It's like,
I think a lot of the battle scenes were kind of rushed. A lot of the stuff was not well explained before they did it. And a lot of it felt small scale and scope. Yeah. And I was reading an article later where somebody was, I can't remember if it was Rian Johnson himself or somebody else from the movies that was talking about it. He says, you got to realize what you saw of the Empire, that was it.
Yeah.
That was the entire remains.
That was our sharks and jets conversation, right? That is literally what happened in that movie. These are the remains of a street gangs, basically.
Exactly.
What's fighting in this movie.
Yeah, and that was it. That is all that was left of the Empire. That was all that was left of the Resistance as they stood.
Yeah.
Is what you saw there. So that was why it wasn't as, oh my gosh, an amazing and expansive and whatnot.
Yeah. I guess at least in my eyes, I didn't really get that sense, because when they fight the Dreadnought, like the cockiness of the Empire, it seems like they have like a million of those, right? And they send all of their ships, and they're like, we killed a Dreadnought, so you get the feeling, oh, there's more of these out there stalking the galaxy, and they're terrifying. And it took all these people to take down one, but it didn't. The Empire never felt like they had such limited resources, and
now see,
feel like
that's
there's a lot wrong with it.
Another thing. Okay, what they've set up there and some of these plot holes you've got. They're talking about the movie every year thing and the fluff. I think right there, they've just created massive opportunities for them to create their existing story fluff movies right there.
To answer those loopholes?
Yeah, to answer those loopholes and questions and make it... because there you go.
That just feels like a low blow.
I don't know.
I mean, if they do it to rectify it, they're like, cleanup time, I would be okay with that. But if that was their intention to, cut out everything that was important...
No, I don't know about that, but what I'm saying was, okay, so with the... sorry, I'm drawing a blank all of a sudden.
Snoke?
No, not Snoke.
I'm still.
It's not time to rant about Snoke yet.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll get to that. We'll come back to it.
I think as much as Force Awakens acknowledged the previous original trilogy, right, and linked that in while doing something new, as I look back on it, I think that Last Jedi did the same thing, but in abandoning that universe. right? Like it did the same things as that, except now it's really trying to wipe itself clean of that original stuff and get us hooked on a new thing that's coming up.
Yeah.
Right? Where the first one had to be more directly tied. This one does not have to do that now. Like they're really establishing that that's the direction it's going. And it's funny because I was talking with a buddy of mine who is super Star Wars nerd, right? Loves Star Wars, big fan of it. And he went and watched it a couple times, just like you did. And he liked it less on the second time, right?
Okay.
He came back and was like, I'm starting to see all these things that I've read about and these bad opinions, and I'm starting to see those in there.
See, I saw it twice in a row without any of the opinions.
Yeah. Well, and the interesting part was in the same time we were talking about the Star Wars movie, he was telling me about, this is like off topic, but it's related, trust me, that he had just gotten into this RPG game, right? And he'd never played it before, and he was really excited about it and was telling me about it. And as he was telling me about it, I was like, yeah, and then this guy's power, or this guy's like lightning ability can work with the water one and like get enhanced, and like all these classic tropes of RPGs that I'm a fan of and I've already played, right? But for him, this was his first experience to an RPG game. So it's his gold standard for RPGs, right? Whereas for me, if I went to go see it, it would be cliche, right? Because I've already experienced all this before. And as soon as he was telling me that story to me, I said, you have to look at these new Star Wars movies as these are somebody else's gold standard. They are. And just because it's not, because we've already been exposed to it and we have our preconceived notions about it, that doesn't mean that there isn't this whole new generation that is just now establishing those feelings and those emotions for them. And I think it's unfair to say that we have a favorite, right? Like we have that original trilogy that's ours, that nobody can mess with, except for George, who's done it how many times now, right? But that is sacred to us, and nobody can take that away.
So, and I can see what you're saying there, because I actually was talking to a gal at work who's stuck in the same little cage I'm stuck in right now with doing nothing.
Yeah.
And the subject of Star Wars came up, and I asked her if she'd seen the new movie, and she's like, "Yeah, it's okay. It's too much like the ones I don't like."
Yeah.
Referring to 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah.
And I'm like, "What?" She's like, "Yeah, I really liked the number 1, 2, and 3."
Yeah.
I thought it was more like the prequels.
For her though, I liked the first ones.
Yeah.
And I was like,
those aren't the first. Like,
I
that's
know,
the worst
I
thing
know.
you could ever say to a Star Wars. They're
I know.
not the first ones.
I know, but
Jeremiah put on his cape and hissed.
I pretty much, but
But at the same time,
I bit my tongue and I asked, so what is it you like about him? She says, well, they're just shot so much better and the action's so clean and it's just so much better movie. I like the way it's done.
yeah.
I'm like, okay, and how old are you? 32 years old.
Yeah. I find myself, after having this conversation with my friend, I really struggled with who am I to take that awesome feeling of what that original Star Wars trilogy did for me. I remember stealing my dad's bathrobe and running around the house with the yardstick my mom had in a sewing room and getting yelled at because I broke 4 of them already because I was pretending they were lightsabers, right? Who am I to take that away from the next generation of people that come up and love what Star Wars is doing, right? We already have the best there is, right? Like, you can't take that away from us. Mm-hmm. We have it. It'll forever be ours. It's forever sacred. It's okay, I think, if somebody else has those feelings towards these new movies. And we don't have to agree with it. Let them ride their high and have what they have. It's a really tricky thing. I have a hard time coming across and saying you're wrong. Because who am I to take that feeling away, right? That's tough, dude. When you think about it that way, that's tough.
I mean, I'm just like, I would just rather have people exposed to the best of it, right? And but what I want is I want it to get better.
Did you not hear what he said though? For them, that's the best.
That is the best. Well,
that's
what if
their
it
best of
encourages them? And this is like, because I was wondering this too. Your story is a perfect example. What if these movies encourage them to go back and watch the originals? What if they love those and they think those are the best Star Wars ever had to offer? They totally get it. They realize what everybody's saying. Now you're on board and you think that these movies are great now because they've encouraged you to go back and experience it. But what if it's the other reaction like your friend had? They go back and watch them and they hate them. Right? Now suddenly it's exponentially not
then
okay.
they're wrong.
Right? And it's like, it's so personal and tied to that era that we came from, right? It's like, I would never change it for anything. I think it's so cool that I even went and saw the last one in the theater as like a 4-year-old kid. The only reason I remember is because it freaked me out, right? And it scared me. I didn't enjoy it at all. It was not a good experience for me. But looking back on it, I did that. I sat in a movie theater and watched it for the first time with other people in the theater, right? Nobody can take that away from me. And the amount of VHS box sets I ruined because I watched those so many times, nobody can take that away from me. And if these other people ride that high, I've really kind of come around to good for them. I don't have to love it, but it also means that they're not wrong, right? It's a tough thing to say. I don't like to see some of the things they're doing with it, but at the same time, if they're loving it the way I did, it's a hard balance.
But what about all the Star Wars fans that love those original ones, and now they're taking that away? They're taking what made the original.
But why do they have to ruin the original? I guess is the point I'm making. Like, why does it taint your image so much? You have the best. You already have the best.
You want it to get better. You don't want to stagnate forever. Because you watch
that's
those.
That's what embodies a Star Wars fan. It was stagnant for so long. It was only fan produced stuff for so long.
But that's the thing, is that it was fan produced stuff, so it came from what they wanted to see. And now this new one's just this weird, like, it just felt like nothing happened. I had so many problems with it. It didn't feel like the original movies at all. Luke was not like the original Luke. It's like they're taking all these people that have loved and supported the franchise for so long. It feels like they're just slapping them in the face and being like, these people like it.
I was actually okay with the Luke, though.
I didn't like Luke.
It made
I
no
totally
sense.
agree. I don't like Luke.
I was okay with it. I mean, they totally established why he was where he was.
Okay, he came to the Death Star in the last movie determined to turn his dad over to the light side because he saw the good in him. There's a kid who's just a little evil. He's gonna kill him? No, that's not what Luke does. The entire time Luke was dying.
But that's why he didn't.
But he never had that like he learned from Return of the Jedi that like you have to find the good in people because it's there. A little kid, Luke wouldn't just give up and like. I mean, yeah, he didn't kill him, but he whipped out his lightsaber for like 10 seconds and was like, should I kill the son of my sister and my best friend? Just because he's...
My nephew.
Just because he's a little angry or something? Like, no, that's not what Luke wouldn't...
I think that's something that people really don't get. Also, and maybe I'm wrong, but Luke is not a Jedi Master. He's not.
But he's a good guy.
He's the guy that skipped class in the middle of Jedi training and then dropped out. Right? Like, he didn't even finish the course. Right? He didn't.
Because he didn't need to, because he's a good guy. Because he left because he needed to help people. He didn't care about the Jedi training. He cared about helping his friends. Luke he's an awesome dude. I want to read the OG books on Luke. I don't want to read any of the new canon books.
I do definitely... I want them to leave that original trilogy alone. Like, I want them to quit baiting the hook.
Ruin everything else.
I definitely
Don't ruin
agree with
the
that.
stuff that we love. Yeah.
I agree that that's not as okay because now you're tainting that part that we find so sacred, right? Because
Release your anger.
It's a tough balance again though because it's like I get that you're trying to create this big full universe and you want it all to be cohesive, but at the same time you're just taking away from that part of it by just kind of sprinkling it in there for the sake of it being there.
It's a universe.
Which is that was your number one complaint about The Force Awakens.
Yes. And it still kind of is. But I think after watching the newer one, I'm more okay with it. I think it was more tastefully done. This new one, the moments that I found in Force Awakens where it like re-sparked that emotion of like the kid, like, right, I want to run around with the yardstick again now. Those moments I was reinvigorated by again in that one. And when they did them in the newest one, it didn't have that same impact for me. It was like, oh, they're doing this again now. Like I don't like the like I think Chewie was kind of wasted in that way. I think he could have been better. I think the Millennium Falcon could have been better. Like I feel like the moments when those were in there, they were just there.
The Millennium Falcon was just kind of a showpiece.
Just there to be there, right? The droids were that way, which when we grew up, the droids were awesome.
Yeah.
Right? Like they were such a cool part of that movie, and I get that they have to be in there.
The droids were what moved the movie
yes,
in all the other ones.
yeah, and even
They
like
were like the audience perspective almost. Because the way they were so detached from everything, and
I'm excited for it to continue. I don't think it's a bad thing, and I'm really excited for them to do a fresh trilogy. I want them to get this one over and done with, and start something now that isn't going to be so directly tied to that Skywalker stuff.
Yeah, because they have a whole universe to do it in. Why do we need to care about these guys? Like they can reference it, that'd be cool. But like, yeah, the fact that they're so tied in, and when they tie him in and they change the characters, it ruins stuff for the fans. It's like, well, that's not how Luke's guy. Like it just, I don't know. It just
I don't necessarily think that if you did like a what is it like the like if you just start now dealing with Jedis and like the Jedi Order and
if you really
go
look
into like an Old Republic series, I don't know if that really counts as abandoning that Skywalker stuff. Like you're not going to have a Skywalker in it, but we know that that's what it all. It's like a prequel now, right, to that original trilogy. I'd almost rather see him do like an offshoot of those sorts of things.
Yeah, I was when you look at the Skywalker side of it, though, the Skywalkers really were all failures. Every one of them. I mean, you've got Anakin, who turned to the dark side and basically ruined everything.
Yes,
Had kids, one of whom
had illegitimate children.
Yeah, had illegitimate children, who one of them went to a failed career in politics, and the other one ran off and hid in an island.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like,
that's a good point. One of them is a they're both terrorists. Yeah, if you look at it that way.
Well, and I
Rebel
think that
scum.
adds to the that like ragtag mentality. Excuse me, of Star Wars that sets it apart from the other classic. Anything else sci-fi was your pristine, cutting edge, like top of the line technology ship, right? Like Star Wars was, at least as far as I remember as a kid, it was the first one where it was like, yeah, we need this droid to fix it while we're trying to now fly it and avoid beams and stuff because it's a hunk of junk, but it'll get us there. Just fix it, R2, right? It's like those moments are what make it so good, right? Use some duct tape and it's quick. Somebody drink a soda. We're gonna make this thing work and get into Lightspeed, right? Like there's the other stuff, and that's like the original trilogy complaint that we've had, where it's like that part of it's not there, right? Like everything's new and polished in 1, 2, and 3. In 3, in 4, 5, and 6, you're kind of dealing with the aftermath of that, so it's a little more disheveled, right? But that's what we
it's
love
a lot
about
more
it.
disheveled.
Yeah, totally, right?
way more than
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's also weird to have it come out as the original trilogy that we grew up with, and then the prequel trilogy to that, and now we're getting the one out. Like it's so Tarantino.
I was gonna
Like
say,
it's
that's a very
so
Tarantino
out of
thing.
order, right? Which I think also
Or
makes
Guy
it hard
Ritchie.
to absorb.
I don't mind the order. I kind of like how everything can be so different and how the order can be so different. So it gives context to earlier events and like I don't mind the order at all. It's just I don't
Watch
like
4, 5, and 6, then 1, 2, and 3. But then you gotta do.
yeah. I mean, I kind of like that. It doesn't feel formulaic.
But then you gotta do 7, and then
I wish there was a feeling of cohesion, right? I think one of my main problems with this new trilogy is that like J.J. Abrams was like the main man for the first one, and the second one was Rian Johnson. J.J. Abrams didn't have the control there, so Rian Johnson kind of messed some of his stuff up. I feel like it would have been better.
But like we said, the original trilogy, George Lucas only directed the first one.
But he like wrote it. Like he was always a part of it.
But he
was
didn't
always
write the
there.
screenplay, and he didn't write the actual draft of what happened in
But
the movie.
he was always there, like hovering around. J.J.
Yeah.
Abrams wasn't here.
So that brings me to another question I've had, because I've had a lot of people comment on this, and they've said, a lot of people have said that people would be more okay with what has happened with these latest 2 movies if George Lucas would have been involved with them. Do you think that's true?
I think if he had some say, yeah.
Even though the movies would have been the exact same as they are now, but he was tied to it in some way.
Yeah. And to be fair, he liked this one. So, anyway.
Did he like it because it was not perceived as good?
I don't know.
He really didn't like the idea of more Star Wars
No,
movies.
Yeah. Well,
it was perceived as good by more people than disliked it.
Yes, I would agree with that. Yeah.
So, but
For me, I like that George is not involved with it anymore. he's the reason why I cannot watch the original trilogy without a VCR. Right?
Yes, that is very true.
Like I can't. How do you,
You-
find it? How do you find
There,
a
there
version
is a
that
version
isn't altered?
online. There is a version online that has all the movies without any of the crappy CG. So not the weird singing thing in Jabba's palace.
Yeah, none of that stuff.
Yeah,
right?
like it's online. It's there
Please?
because you know. Again, credit to Star Wars fans for being so dedicated that they will just like. It's HD too. So like that's how much Star Wars fans care.
Yeah.
That they'll just have that there because it's like.
And I think there is like a limited box set you can get, like a DVD version that does have those originals in it. Like as an
that's
option.
probably
to
they
watch.
don't make that anymore. So it's super hard.
As
to
an-
get.
Yeah, it is hard to get.
I haven't seen it or know what it is.
Yeah. Well, and to be fair, my overexposed version of Star Wars to myself had commercial breaks. Right?
Okay,
Like
yeah.
that I mean like that's the one I watched over and over anyway. Like I did eventually get those VHS versions, but I owned the VCR home recorded version of Star Wars for a long time.
Nice.
Yeah.
That was what I had, right? It was probably missing a few minutes here for time constraints or whatever, but I don't think that George being attached to these would have changed them too much. And I almost think, for me personally, I don't think that it would have. It might have made me like them even less than I do. Because I think that George can be so. At least these movies made an attempt to acknowledge what the fans want, right? Like I think there's a clear sign of that in these movies, that they understand what we as fans found so sacred about those.
Porgs,
Yeah, but I mean, maybe they didn't execute it perfectly or whatever, but they understand that element exists. And I think there's a part of George's mentality, at least in the beginning, where he's like, I don't care, I'm just gonna make my movies, right? And I'm gonna alter them a million times. I'm gonna do whatever. He has that mentality about him. So I don't know that they actually would have been that much better. I don't know that it would have affected him that much.
I don't think. Honestly, I don't care about like if it was George Lucas or it was anyone. I feel like if there was just a guy tied to all of them that made sure that they were all going in one direction and were carrying out what was being set up, I would be fine with that. George Lucas, J.J. Abrams, some I don't know, Mickey Mouse himself. Like and like it just feels like they're like, all right, you can direct the first one, you can direct the next one, and then you can direct the one. Actually, we're firing you. You can direct the last one. It's just like they're just.
I guarantee
people.
there are continuity directors within this that are people that are there to see to it that it maintains a certain level of continuity and a certain level of trueness to the story. And I'm sure that they have a overarching story that they want to get to.
But it feels like they're not getting. Like I don't know what is going to happen. In the next one, all that's going to happen is Rey fights Kylo Ren.
I really hope that by the end of this next the new trilogy,
I hope I'm happy.
I almost hope that like Jedis don't exist. Like I hope it's a new thing, because there won't be any Jedis, right? Like there won't be. I don't necessarily want Rey to now have the books and raise another generation of Jedi. Just call them something else. Like they can still use the Force, they can still have
I was gonna
lightsabers
say,
and whatever.
you need
But like,
lightsabers.
but why do they even have to be Jedis? Like the Order is dead at that point. Like let's start fresh and have something new. I think that would make it a little more refreshing, actually, for me.
mean,
I would.
even
It'd be
without
easier to absorb.
Lightsabers. I'd be interested in seeing a Star Wars movie with no lightsabers.
It would be because the one she had was destroyed. It would be interesting if that wasn't a part of it anymore either, right? Like she just doesn't make
all the
it.
Kyber crystals are mined for the Death Star, or the other Star Killer base. Like there's just nothing left. And that's blasters and
Maybe that could even
ragtag
be a
scum.
movie, like to just find a crystal, right? Like to be able to
That would be cool.
to do whatever. That would be kind of cool to have that type of an insight into the lore without being so directly connected to that.
We're coming up with cool
you're
ideas,
talking.
but
Now you're talking Old Republic.
I guess maybe.
or no,
yeah.
like all the Kyber crystals. It was like a
But I want it to take place after.
I get that, but everything you're talking about is stuff like if you ever played Knights of the Old Republic, that's all stuff that's like central to playing the story of Old Republic.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. It's interesting.
And the non lightsaber blades that they have are vibroblades.
the ones
don't
that
have any
deflect them.
crystals?
No, there's no crystal. It's called a vibroblade, and it's
Like the red guys. Is that
And
what
the
the red
taunt
guys
that
had?
yeah, kind of like what the red guys had.
Yeah.
And they were able to do battle with a lightsaber.
Yeah. So do you?
They weren't as powerful, but they
They got the job done.
A lightsaber couldn't cut through it.
couldn't
like they
no.
could actually sit there and hold their own against it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if we're not cool with a Star Wars movie every year because of it dragging along and doing what it's doing with that original trilogy, is it almost maybe better actually that they have one every year so they can just get past that and get out of the way?
I'm okay with these side ones. I don't as long as they don't try and be fluff, as long as they try and tell a compelling story on their own. I felt like Rogue One told us a compelling story that was detached enough to where I felt like I don't need to watch. Like, you could watch Rogue One before watching A New Hope, and it would be you know, I mean, it wouldn't be as cool, but it would still be like, oh, that's cool that Rogue One, like, it felt like a movie on its own. I hope they're all like that, but I hope the trilogies are these, like, the groundbreaking thing that sets up all the stuff that's going to happen on the side. Right? This trilogy, all this crazy stuff's going to happen, and then off to the side, all this other cool stuff's going to happen. Yeah. I'm really tired right now.
I think it's a really tough call. It really is. It's hard to say, and I think especially from our position, I still really stand firm on that. I love the idea of another generation falling in love with Star Wars. I do think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And even if they do it through these means, right? They better go back and watch those originals and love them.
Yeah.
But like that will definitely change my opinion on it. Let's see. Totally said I don't want him to keep dragging it out. How do you guys? This is another one. It comes kind of back when we were talking about MCU. What I said. How do you feel about a Star Wars live action TV show? Will that only be on the Disney streaming exclusive
Star Wars
network?
live action TV show.
You could do it like Firefly. Just redo Firefly, but with Star Wars
with
movies.
lightsabers.
Yeah.
Just because you put a
Everyone
lightsaber,
has
in
a
it doesn't mean
lightsaber.
it's good. Let's establish that.
Yeah.
Do you think that could happen with their streaming service? That was one of the first things I thought when
totally
they announced
could,
it. I was
yeah.
like, are they going to MCU like the Netflix series, like that type of thing, but on their Disney Channel with Star Wars?
I'd be okay
Okay,
with
so
it. As long as it's good.
if they did it with non-movie line stuff,
Yeah.
Oh, so
you know,
completely separated.
it's in the same world, but it's not the. I mean, that's where the Boba Fett thing would be kind of cool.
That would be. I was thinking that too. Boba Fett.
Oh,
would be
the
cool.
Adventures of Boba Fett, like
Yeah, it would totally be
Maybe
like the
Lando. Could have some Lando stuff in there,
Yeah.
like these side characters, right? Some
Exactly.
Jabba the Hutt
so
stuff
not
in there.
Not like a show about a character, but just episodes. Each episode is tied to a different person.
Could do it that way, or you could, like I said, you could have it just be you're following Boba Fett on the bounty hunting, like how he became a bounty hunter, how he became what.
Not hunting Han, none of that
No.
sort of stuff. But like,
Yes. I'd be okay with that.
I would be into that too. Same with like
Make Boba Fett
like
great
Lando.
again.
It'd be fun to have like a Lando scenario, and that it's getting his side of what all that was, but not making it directly tied to the other stuff. You don't have to worry about so much of that cohesiveness. That would be kind of cool. I
just
would
hope
probably
it's-
watch it. Would it be enough for you to buy Disney streaming? Because it's the only way you're going to be able to watch it. You know that.
Just for that, probably not.
What if
Would you keep
We
your
all
Netflix
pitched in.
subscription if the only other thing was to be able to keep watching Marvel stuff?
Netflix has Black Mirror though, and Lovesick? You guys ever seen Lovesick? That's good.
No, there's a lot
Like
of
getting rid of your Netflix subscription at all of that, do you contemplate that because you got to keep it to keep watching the Marvel shows?
that is definitely a factor.
Right? That's what I mean. Like, you know, if it's $10 more a month, but you get to watch all these kick-ass Star Wars, like Marvel-esque type shows like that,
I would probably treat it like I do the HBO.
I would wait for them to come out long enough
So,
to get your...
yeah.
So when you do the HBO, you get a month. You pay for a month.
Yeah.
The subscription at a time. So I waited until there was only 2 episodes of the Game of Thrones left,
Yeah.
and then bought the subscription,
Yeah.
and then binged the other ones, and then
Yeah.
watched the last 2 as they came out, and then got into Westworld and paid for another month of my subscription.
They
But,
suck you in. Yeah. That's how they get you. But, I mean, to their credit, you know, they're baiting you with more good shows.
Yes,
So, you know.
But then I said, and then I canceled it. So
Yeah. The other one that kind of reminded me of the story about my buddy with the RPG stuff and the games and whatever his impressions of mine. was, I think I was telling you the other day, the story about my brother in Beast Wars. Right, which
yeah.
is Transformers,
Beast
which
Wars.
I think,
yeah.
which I think is another
prequel.
It's another good analogy for what's happening with it. And I even said Star Wars is in a Beast Wars phase right now. It kind of is, where my brother came up to me, but only to me and us, because we know the original, right? Like, my brother came up to me and said, "Hey, have you seen Beast Wars? You got to check out this show, Beast Wars." And I was like, "Yeah, that's cool, bro. I'll watch it with you." And so he sat down to watch it, and I was like, "This is Transform. You never said Transformers Beast Wars. He's just like, just Beast Wars." And I was like, "This is all the characters I know, but so wrong. None of them, they're animals. Like, what? Like, that is not even. They're supposed to be cars and jets,
prehistoric,
because
so-
that was like cool when we were kids. We all were all into those things, and like the animal part is weird. I don't get it. But for him, it was his introduction to Transformers, and it's all he knew, right? And I think that's kind of the zone that Star Wars is in. It just is. It's in this weird next generation kind of transition phase where it's still called Star Wars, but it's something else.
Yeah.
Right? It has those key characters in it. It has the driving force of the original, but it's different. And it's so drastically different from what we were originally exposed to that it comes across as a little harsh.
Yeah. I'm really hopeful that it'll change. Like, I love being optimistic about stuff. Like the new God of War game. It's not really God of War, but I'm hopeful for it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna buy it and I'm gonna be optimistic about it. But it's like, I just hope Star Wars.
In a way, I think that
more.
makes the God of War game in particular more appealing to me, because I want it to be different. I'm so tired of the same game. They're all the same game. Yeah, you have your little 4-power, weapon wheel, and they're called something different, but one's a ranged one, one's a ground shatter one. They're all the same, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm actually okay with it being something different. So
do you want that to happen to Star Wars as well? Instead of a weird God of War Ascension almost? Where it's
that's what I'm more excited for. I'm more excited for, again, I think we're in this weird Beast Wars phase where I just kind of think for me personally, we are. It's not what I want it to be, but it has notes of that kind of thing in there. And I think that they will round back out to what I want from it. And I think right now it's in this transition phase that, because I'm such a fan of the original, it comes across as kind of abrasive and offensive to me, but I'm excited for what's to come from it. I can't wait for them to get past that part of it. Mm-hmm. And I think that part is coming. And I think based on this new movie, there's really clear signs of that. So I'm kind of excited for that part, actually. I want that part to happen. It can't happen soon enough for me. Quit dragging that stuff along. I keep thinking of that as like, quit showing me that clip in the trailer, and then when I watch the movie, that's all that's going to be in there, because you just did that to bait me in to go to see it. Because I'll still go see the other one. Like, you don't have to do that to make me go see it. It'll call it Star Wars or whatever else, and I'm gonna go see it, right? So that makes it tricky for me. But again, the best part of all this that I've come to is that it's not up to us to decide how other people enjoy these, right? And what they think of them. And I think it's cool that they do. Because even if we get 2 more really killer Star Wars movies that we absolutely love out of the whole thing, is that okay? Does that make it okay? If it takes 10 Star Wars movies, like a total of like 8 more, right, to come out, but 2 of those are just the coolest Star Wars you've ever seen, is it worth it?
If that last one was it, yeah.
Right? I guess it depends on what note it ends on, right? Like, if Rogue One and Force Awakens are the 2 out of those 10,
yeah,
it's not worth it now.
Exactly.
Right? So it's like, it's a tough balance.
I don't know. I'm hopeful for the future. I mean, I'm okay. I guess I'm okay with Star Wars doing a movie every year. It's just the trilogies are really what's scaring me. But I like how Rian Johnson is kind of in charge of the next trilogy. I hope that he just does, like, because I think he wanted to change everything. Rian Johnson wanted to change everything. Maybe he didn't have the opportunity this film. Like, at first I'm like, this is a bad director, but I think there's a lot of factors into why I didn't like it. But I really want to see Rian Johnson do.
Was he ever? Cool. Do you know if he was ever originally signed up to do the next one?
I think he was. Yeah.
He was. So do you think things have happened in this one that he had like a grand plan for?
I think J.J. Abrams had his plan, but then Rian Johnson's like, I don't think Rian Johnson wanted to just do what J.J. Abrams wanted to do. Rian Johnson wanted to do everything he had, but at the same time, that meant that he had to cut everything else out, and there was just like so. I think there was just so much going on that it was impossible to make it like a great movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, I think that's where the separating of the two universes will be ideal. Just do what you want to do and make your story and have it be in space a long time ago.
Yeah.
You know, far
galaxy.
away, right? Like that's all we need.
In the future,
There's got to be some force in there. Have somebody with some force powers, but
or don't. That could be cool too.
Huh?
You never know. Yeah. I hope they change it up. I hope they get crazy with it.
we'll see. But not so crazy that we hate it.
Yeah. Not so crazy
Right?
that it's like
You can't please us. Is the
as
bottom
much
line,
of a
pretty
separation
much.
as like Lego Star Wars canon is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Keep it within the confines of what makes Star Wars good.
I'm kind of excited after
Now-
everything I've talked to and everybody that I've been talking to about it. I'm still not going to come around and say that I thought the latest movie was a really great movie. I don't think it was. I'm fine with it. I don't think it was as bad as some people are saying, but I also don't think it's as good as some people are saying. But I kind of think it is necessary. It's necessary to break away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's okay, and I hope the end result will justify that.
And we got the greatest scene in all Star Wars.
That is true.
Yeah, 2 of them, as far as I'm concerned. The over-the-shoulder through the eyeball lightsaber
God,
was
that-
so good.
No,
Come on.
my favorite part was when
That
Kylo
is
Ren.
so not Star Wars.
That was so cool, though.
It was cool, but it's not a Star Wars thing. I'm
That's
sorry.
true. It is not. Yeah.
I liked when Kylo Ren took his shirt off and he looked like a toad man. You see,
If they-
I'll show you a picture. It's so funny.
If he would have
It's becoming a meme now.
he should have lopped off an appendage. That would have been more Star Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm excited. I don't care what people say. I'm still excited, and I will still go see them. And no matter what, nobody can take away how I feel about that original trilogy.
Yeah,
It'll always be
get
amazing.
you.
that.
Yes.
Like he just skipped. Or he
Jack
just only
has
went to,
the wallpaper on his phone is
Oh my god, it is.
Kylo.
Yeah, actually, totally forgot. It's
Just
weird.
so he can see it every time. He does a
It's
little
so
finger
funny.
swipe, and
Right across the man boobs.
God.
you love it, Jack.
It's funny. It's a meme. I don't want Star Wars to be a meme, but I'm hopeful now. I was less hopeful coming into this, but now I think the future could be bright. Okay, it's just
I
the
think it could be
prequel.
bright,
I mean,
too.
this is probably what you guys were thinking of as the prequels are coming out. Like, there's no way Star Wars can ever get better.
Yeah, it did taint my opinion. And of course, we were younger at that point and had harsher opinions.
And as a kid,
Yes,
I liked the
we did.
prequels more. But then I watched the originals. Okay, so now I'm getting it. Yeah, I loved the prequels because they're like, oh, cool explosions. General Grievous has flippy lightsabers. Then I'm like, what? No, just make it
Yeah.
good. Tell a good story. Yeah, so I get where you're coming from.
They can be good. Let's hope.
Yes. Would it be A New Hope?
I think it is a New Hope.
my
I think it literally is a New Hope for Star Wars.
A
And I
new
think we
New
have to
Hope.
look at it that way. I think you're spot on with that statement. I think it's totally true.
You deserve
It really
a
is.
high five for that.
Collective three-way. The Triforce.
But that's not Star Wars.
It's very nerdy, though.
Yes, it is.
Going in a different direction now.
Yeah. So, we are going to still watch our anime, Devilman. We'll review
Devilman,
it next
yep.
time.
Yep.
Keep watching it. Don't let your children watch it.
No.
It's not appropriate for them. I want to really emphasize that. Don't do it.
It's animated, not for children.
Right? And you could be deceived by that right away
cartoons.
when you first start watching it because it's very cartoony anime. You think?
Okay, yes, the animation style is very cartoony, but the intro is
I guess that's
is even
right
not.
away. It's pretty clear. This is mature content. It's very mature content.
Yes.
So we're gonna keep watching that.
Play
And we'll
Batman.
review. Yep, we'll play Batman. We're gonna review Devilman in the next episode. But now let's once again talk about my dad's meat.
Yes. So Mark Hallender's adventures in drinking has turned into Jeremiah's adventures in drinking. It is working very well. It doesn't work. Jad just doesn't sound the same.
Jad.
Jad. What is Jad?
No, Jad.
Oh,
Jeremiah's
because just
Oh, yeah. Okay, I get it now. I get it now.
Or
It's also working on me.
or Jed to Jeremiah
there's no E.
Johnson's.
Oh yeah.
Jed.
Well, if you want to go that way,
It
it'd
has an
be
apostrophe. Jad.
Jad.
That's that's your Star Wars character, Jad.
It gets another J with each glass you drink. Yeah.
Like DJ in Star Wars.
All right.
I think that I really actually prefer this one, I think, over the one that was the spiced and the half and half of, because that's the one I
didn't get to
tried.
try that one, so
That was the one I got to try, and it was much sweeter.
okay.
Right? This is not overly sweet, but it's sweet enough to like kind of counteract all that spicy intensity that comes from it. But it doesn't taste super alcoholic. It's working like it's alcoholic.
It's working incredibly well.
Yeah.
I am feeling it.
Yeah. But I actually really like it. I don't have a weird flavor in my mouth from it. It's pretty smooth. Really not a lot abrasive about it. I have to give my dad credit again.
Yeah, he did pretty dang,
Pretty,
dang
pretty
decent.
darn good, huh? For pulling something out his ass. To be fair, my dad does that not infrequently, where it'll be like, what are you doing? And then it's, I don't know how he does it, but he makes it work. And he's done it again. I really like this meat a lot.
I do too.
Now, if I had to put a score on it, I can't remember. Do you remember what we scored the last one?
I don't remember.
I can't remember either. I'm going to say, I wanted to say something pretty high, yeah. I think this, I would totally keep drinking more of this. I think I'm going to have to give it an 8.
Really?
I think it's really pretty good.
I was gonna go 7.
7. All right, you're not talking me down. It's my dad. I'm a little
No,
biased,
it's good.
right? Yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah.
7 is good.
Yeah.
Tell
He's
him to make
also,
some
I also
root
work
beer.
for him, so he's not only my dad, but he's my boss, and I want
thought
to
your
keep
mom
getting
was your
paid.
boss.
So, no, she's my dad's boss. She's
Oh,
like the
okay.
CEO.
Yeah.
My dad's the boss.
Tell him to make some root beer, and I'll totally drink it.
Yeah, I don't know what the process is to make root beer.
Just put some.
It's
stuff
probably
in a
the same as
bucket,
beer.
Mix it up.
Kind of similar.
Root beer extract,
Less fermentation.
water, put some yeast to it.
Emily's parents make
I
root
say
beer.
put some yeast to it and cap it off right away so that it just carbonates instead of like totally ferments.
All right. Maybe I'll see if I next time they do it, make root beer anyway.
Put it
I'll
in
bring
a-
you
put it in a
homemade
Prosecco.
root beer.
Prosecco
I'll
bottle
work
so
for
that
I'll work
it can handle the pressure.
doing
I
parking
think
for
that's
free.
the bottles they put them in, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. My
why I
wife,
said that.
when Kristen and Emily hang out, they drink Prosecco.
Yeah.
Too much Prosecco. So,
5. Really,
give it
it's
a
just
5?
it's just average. I mean, it's tastes a little watered down. Like then I want that ginger taste to stay with me for a while, right? But instead, I just get like the bad breath taste. So yeah, sorry, I get the bad breath taste. And it's like I've never had. The more ginger beers I drink, the more I'm just kind of like, I just want a good one. I'm burnout on having the same, just kind of like weak, like afraid. It's like they're trying to pander to everyone, where it's like, oh, we'll give this light ginger, please buy it, instead of just like hardcore.
like, put it in there so that we can claim it's there, and that's it.
Yeah, like I mean, it's there, but it's not like it doesn't last, right? And it just doesn't. It doesn't feel like it's trying to be like one good thing. It's trying to be like a few things. And also there's that dog food taste. It's still there. It's still there. Yeah, so 5. I mean, I'm just kind of
I just want to say again, though, you've managed to kind of encompass your beverage into the theme of the show again.
yeah. Yeah. I want ginger
Kibbles and bits.
I want ginger brews like they used to make them.
Intense and strong.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Well,
He wants the Altoids, the ginger brews.
yes, right? You want to be offended by the ginger brew, but in a good way.
Oh.
Altoids.
Altoids.
thing.
You know what an Altoid is, right?
It's a candy.
It's curiously strong mint.
Wow. That's how old we are. Yeah. That's how wise we are.
Yeah,
I so wish that was true.
No kidding.
So wish. To all the nerds.
Through all the fuzz.
Bottoms up. Let's get nerd buzz.
Talking about
Subscribe,
beer,
comment. You could be
talking
fan of the
about
month.
nerd
Do it, do it, do it.
culture. You're on Nerdbuzzed. Marcus and Jeremiah.
He's feeling it.
You're on Nerdbuzzed. Let's get Nerdbuzzed.
It hasn't quite surpassed